Welcome to our first tutorial for our hand-built mugs. We are just doing a basic tutorial today, no texture, just to give you guys an idea of how we, how we start all of our mugs. So I've got a slab of very stiff Iceman clay. I'm just going to run it through our slab roller and then start showing you the process. This is probably my favorite piece of equipment in our studio.
It's also a very loud piece of equipment.
It's pretty loud.
By the way, if any of this looks messed up, I'm filming, so it's completely my fault.
Okay. I'm just going to cut away this extra. And then just compress it out. It is really stiff. We use B-Mix and Iceman for white stoneware clay. We use Rue and Rocky Mountain speckle clay for speckles. And we use Sheltoe for dark clay. It's really pretty red-brown clay. Yeah, he's really stiff. So I have these forms like this that we've cut out for different shapes and sizes, and this is just our standard. I think this holds, what would you say, 16 ounces?
Yeah.
We do tend to make mugs on the bigger side, so I guess about 16, maybe 18 is kind of our standard size, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Does that work better if I do it like that?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to cut them out.
Sorry if I'm in your way while you're doing this.
No, you're fine. Okay. I like the smaller end of the bevel, so bevel one side, and instead of flipping them over, I just hand bevel the other side.
Yeah, I have no idea how you do that. That alone is cool to me that you can just eyeball that.
This is PVC pipe that we had cut at the local Home Depot store and then a stocking put over it. So I just pick him up, wrap him around. And on mugs that don't have texture, a lot of times I will take them and bend it a little bit more in almost like a coil and let him sit there for a few minutes just so that he gets that circular memory going. While that's sitting here, I'm going to cut the foot, just a standard cookie cutter. And if anything goes wrong today, it's probably because we're taping.
Huh? Yeah, that's unfortunately how it works.
So just bear with me, guys. Okay. All right.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
So now I've got him on my workspace, and I'm just gonna shape him around this form one more time. Put him back in the round. And then go ahead and score these beveled edges. And slip. Do I have this in the way so you can see?
No, I can see.
Okay, take him out.
This is the part that's hard for me to capture, but hang on, I don't want it to mess you up.
So I'm just pushing these seams together,
Mm-hmm.
kind of letting them overlap a little bit, and pushing it, kind of pinching them with my fingers like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I smooth out where the seam is at the top, flip them over, and do the same thing on the bottom. Match these seams up, and then just start going all the way down the middle and pushing everything together. And now what I do to fix the inside seam is I kind of make them into an oval like this. Then I take my potter's thumb, is this in the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Take my potter's thumb, and I'm going to just get them a little wet, and where it's flat and where the seams join together, I'm just going to smooth out that seam. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Just like that. So that's what I'm doing on the inside. I don't want to see any seam whatsoever. So, and I'm holding the back so that it doesn't get stretched. And then I turn them over, and I'm going to do the same thing
Let me
here.
see it real quick. That's the seam.
Mm-hmm.
If it will focus. Okay, that's the seam. Hang on. Okay, that's the seam before you do what you're about to do. I'm not a good cameraman.
And I take the curved end of my rib and I just kind of go over that section a little bit. You can still see it a little bit, but we're going to do some more work on the inside to clear that up.
It's pretty clean. Can you tilt it some towards me? Yeah. You can't even tell where the seam was, really.
Okay, so I take my pot, try to form it back into a round because I've kind of misshapen it a little bit, and do the same thing with the bottom. Kind of make it round again, and then score the bottom. Slip the bottom. It's really watery. Okay, put my pot back on. I try to keep them as round as possible. They still warp, every single one of them. Every single one that I make warps. And then I just turn him until he just doesn't turn anymore. All of a sudden he's just joined. And then I go around with my rib again, and I just make sure, it's hard to see, but I just make sure that this outside line is joined around the foot as much as possible. Like right here, it's kind of on the, it's not meeting it at the very end, so I push him out a little bit. Here, he's kind of sticking out already, so this is where I'm just going to start pushing him in. And then I just seal him up. And then I go along on the inside seam, which, can you see in there?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like that. I'm not trying to smooth them out. I just want to join a little bit. Just kind of like this. Okay. Now I'm going to bring my banding wheel over. And again, I'm going to flip him upside down, and I'm just going to try to keep him as round as possible. And then I try to make sure that the seam from the bottom of the mug matches the seam from the foot. Sometimes I just want it to be as round as possible. And I take the pony roller which is,
Sorry.
sorry, here.
I was sitting right next to the cart.
And just roll it down a little bit. Sometimes I get separation on the inside of the seam, and that just ensures that, kind of helps it along a little bit so that there's no,
I'm sorry, I'm
there's
all up
no,
in your works.
no,
please.
there's no cracks on the inside. Now what I'm doing is, see this overhang that the pony roller is kind of squished out over the lip of the mug? What I'm doing is I'm taking and I'm scraping that off. I want it I want these two pieces to match up perfectly. So it closes up that seam, and it's going to push the extra up to the top, and I'm going to cut that off. And I'm just letting the banding wheel do the work. Just like that. I want to do textured bottoms, but I mess with the bottoms so much. I haven't figured out a way to do that where I can still have texture on the bottom, but I'd like to, because I think decorating on the bottom is really pretty. So all this extra that's been pushed up, I'm just going to go and cut them off. These might be extra steps. I might be making this harder than it actually is. I do have a problem with my bottoms being completely flat, and so I sand them a little bit before I put them in the bisque firing, and it tends to help. But yeah, I think I'm adding extra steps maybe that don't need to be here. But that's pretty flat. So now I'm going to add some cornstarch to my banding wheel just in this little circle right here, because I want them to stick on the outside, but I want to be able to get them off. So I put my pot back in, pound the bottom a little bit to make sure I can get them as flat as possible, and then I follow the guide on my wheel and I make sure that I can get him in the center.
This is the part that helps me the most, and I didn't think about this until Mom pointed it out, of trying to get it center on the banding wheel. I didn't think centering really mattered in building too much, but when I saw her do this, I started doing it, and it helped me to get much more rounder bottoms on my mugs.
And I take this, it helps. I take this little potter's thumb and I just cut off the excess, and it kind of helps to seal it to the wheel. And then I go around with my finger a little bit more. And because I really want to make sure it's sealed, I go around with my rib.
In my version of this, I just run my finger along the whole
Oh, I
thing.
didn't do my seam. What an idiot. Okay, so let's do the seam now.
It's
All
only
right.
because we're filming.
It's only because we're filming. Crap. Okay. So you probably want to do this beforehand. Man. It's hard for me to leave the seam on. I really like for everything to be smooth. And that becomes a challenge when you're using texture, and we love texture. Any kind of texture, stencil texture, rolling pin texture, any kind of texture, we love using it, but it really is a challenge for seams and matching up end to end to have a continuous pattern. Yeah, but when you're doing this, it seems to be okay. I'm going to put my handle here, so you probably won't see that, but yeah, sorry I didn't show that in the beginning. So now what I do is I take my rib and I'm just going up from the bottom, and I'm trying to get rid of all my marks I put on it from handling it, smoothing things out if I've stretched it out just a little bit, and I'm pushing onto this pot that's right here, and I'm hoping that it's going to keep it round before I start shaping it. So just kind of smooths it out just a little bit. I hope this is showing up well.
Yeah, you can see like a little little divots from the rib tool.
Okay. So now I fixed the inside, and you might not be able to see this. If you stand up and show it from this angle, does that help, or is my head going to be in the way?
No, we're going to see.
Okay. So I go in first, and I just want to make sure that everything is, oh, this has a wobble, so this is not going to be great. I'm just pressing down on the seam a little bit to join them together. Okay, and now I'm going to work on my rim. I'm going to strap that in the pot. Okay, this tool, I'm using this little section right here.
Hang on, it's having a hard time focusing. This is so silly.
Sorry, does that help?
Yeah.
I've seen some people take their ribs and cut them in half and use this spot in here. We already had these, so I'm just using this to shape it. I'm left-handed, I'm sorry, so it's...
Oh, hang on, let me come around to the other side.
Okay.
Okay, I've come to the other side now, so you can see how she's going to fix the rim on the mug.
So I just take this in gently. I just start pressing a little bit. It's not... No, don't fall in. I can feel where it's... it has lows and highs, so I'm just trying to trim them down. Okay, and then I go over it with this rib, which I really love. So we're going to start here, and again, just let the banding wheel do the work. Start shaping this rim a little bit. And then I'm going to go down to this smaller size. Yeah, he's taller right there. Okay. And then I'm going to go in, just make sure he's still round a little bit. I've cut a sponge in half, one of these cheap little yellow sponges. I've cut him in half because he's super squishy. And all I'm going to do is take him and press down right here on the top to just kind of flatten this a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go in on the sides and squeeze in like this with my hands. Man, this is really stiff clay. And as I'm squeezing, I'm also pushing down, just compressing a little bit. Okay. And then that's what the rim looks like. I can't.
It's a very pretty rim. I mean, man.
Let's scrape him off. I'm sorry. Okay, and now to shape him, I'm going to take this thumb tool again. I just like to keep him moist so that he doesn't stick to the clay or drag the clay on the inside. I guess we're just going to do a basic, so sorry.
You're fine.
A basic, what we call
A mug.
a mug, a
Big-
belly
a
shape.
basic belly mug.
Belly mug. So I'm going all the way down and I'm touching the bottom here, and I'm dragging it up until to push out the belly to wherever I want it to stop. So if I'm just going to go up halfway to about here from the inside and then stop. So he's going to be like here, and then here. And then all I do is I just do that in little increments all the way around the mug, okay? And you'll start to see it come out. And then with my bottom, with my thumb, I'm pushing in. And I don't do it all at once. I'll go around several times and till I get the right belly that I want. And of course the seam is going to try to open because we're on camera. So it's starting to get a little bit of a shape. Do we want a big belly?
I like big bellies. It's already pretty.
Let me just check. See.
Now what are you checking?
So what I do is I hold my finger up here against, I can't do it backwards, I'm so sorry. So like from here, I'll hold my finger here and I'll put my tool, just give it a gap, right? And I go around and I see, okay, where is it? Like right there, there's more of a gap. Then right here, there's a smaller gap, so I know where to fix it to try to make it
Smart.
a little more rounded. He needs a little bit more.
The way I check that is I just spin the wheel really fast and look to see where it just looks odd. And I hope while I'm spinning it real fast that it doesn't fly off the wheel, because I've had that happen too.
Oh gosh, okay. Yeah. Those aren't good days, are they? Does he look good?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've made a lot of marks inside on the sides, but I'm going to smooth those out. And that's what I'm going to do now with my little, throw it. With my little sponge, just from, I think these came from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to get them wet.
I love these sponges.
They're great. And just, I'm holding it in the curve of my hand to kind of keep that round going. And I'm just smoothing it out because the sponge is wet. Makes it pretty easy to do. Don't ruin.
I still can't get over how pretty your rim is on this mug.
Well, I like to have real smooth rims. I like to have smooth bottoms. I like everything smooth.
I can't get mine to look like that though.
Yeah, you can. You do that. You use your little chamois cloth, right?
Yeah, but I can't do what you do.
Yes, you can. You certainly do.
Now you're just spinning it and slowly bringing the sponge up, right? Oh
So
my
it looks
gosh.
like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to compress on the bottom just a little bit because I've made little divots in the bottom using that thumb tool. So I just push down. I'm just pushing straight down. And it's just a little wet. It's not too bad. You don't want it to get soaking wet, especially on the bottom. I guess that's the same if you're throwing, right? You don't want water sitting in the bottom of your mug. Okay, so now he looks like that. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I smooth him out further. This is how I make the little circles, the little I guess that's what you call them, on the inside. I use the flat brush. It's going to go down in the bottom and sit like this on the bottom. And then as I push him all the way out to the side, I just ride him all the way up the side with the edge of the brush, and it cuts in and it makes those circular indentions, I guess, like it would if you were throwing on the wheel with your fingers, bringing it all the way up. And I like doing that because I only use...
This part I don't know how I'm going to get.
Oh, sorry. Does this help, or is my head in the way?
No, it's fine.
I don't like using a lot of glaze combinations on the inside of the mug. I think that's part of the sponge. So what I like to do, a lot of Amico Flux glazes, Honey Flux, Honeydew, Cirrus Flow, those types of glazes on the inside. But they do really well if there's some texture on the inside of the mug. So I like to put texture with the side of this brush. And I kind of joke about it looking like the inside of a tin can with all the little ridges going up.
It looks so cool when it has glaze on it.
But I do like the way that the glaze breaks over it. So I just take my brush all the way out to the edge, and then I start coming up. And that's it.
That is so neat.
And then I smooth this part out around the top. And now I'm going to give it more of a shape. So I've got the belly going. Where's my seam that's about to go? Now I'm just going to start pushing. I'm holding it on the inside, but I'm pushing with my fingers, my thumbs, in just a little bit as I go around. And once I'm back to the seam, then I move up one step and I start pushing in a little bit more and pushing out the lip, the rim towards me a little bit, kind of flaring it out towards me. And then I'm at the top part, and now I'm curling this rim over my thumbs. You really get this seam to go in further than I can on my mugs.
When I do it, I force it. I just get really forceful with it.
Why does he have...
That looked fine. What was it?
I don't know. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a... Sorry. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I like this guy. This is Garrett. Sorry, Garrity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn him off. Garrity, is this, what number is this? This is their number 6. You see that? It's number 6. We have number 8.
That's what I use.
We have number 2.
That one doesn't like me.
This one doesn't like you?
No.
I tend to go for these 2.
You can make it work.
I like him and I use him sometimes, but I really like this guy. So we're going to use him today. So I go around with my finger and just smooth everything out, pushing him in just a little bit. And now I'm going to put him right up against here and start pushing him in to put my foot in. And start seeing the foot forming. And then one more time, because it's pushed in my, you can see on the inside.
Yeah, on the inside it like...
It's kind of pushed in just a little bit, so I'm going to go clean up that little slip that's on the bottom with my brush real quick. I don't want to misshape him. How do you say that? I don't want to mess him up. So I'm going to cut him off. So I don't distort him while I'm trying to pull him off. Comes right off. And that is how we do our mugs.
Now, you don't put handles on the same day.
I don't. I put him in the damp box and let him sit for probably 24 hours. And then I'll pull handles. I wish I had my handle box out. I could show you the ones that I've already pulled from yesterday. We'll pull handles, and where this seam is right here, this is where I'll put my handle. But I let him sit in the damp box for about 24 hours. And then I'll put the handle on, and I'll flip him upside down and put him back in our gasket boxes for a day or so before we dry him out.
All right.
And that's it, guys.
That is so pretty.